I get questions daily on the Blue message, how do you send an iMessage, and what's the best services, and who do you recommend, and why are we going to use this service, and is it really convert better than any other service, and what's all the benefits? So today, I have the incredible honor to introduce a very good friend of mine, Gary Kapp, who's the owner of My CRM Sim, which is, again, I only bring vendors that I use personally. This is what we're using for our clients, and I wanted to make sure that I get you the best of the best. And more importantly, I met him, we hit it off, we told incredible stories, which he's going to tell you about the incredible Australian stories, which I love my Australians because they're absolutely amazing with the stories that they tell. But more importantly, today we are going to go over iMessage, which has been the one thing that everybody's been asking for. We're going to talk about the goods, we're going to talk about the bad, we're going to tell you about everything about the service. And again, I am incredibly happy and honored to introduce Gary Capps, the owner of My CRM Sim. Again, it's one of the leading downloadables and like everything that has to do with iMessage. They lead the pack when it comes to services inside of GoHighLevel. And this is definitely the person you're going to want to hear from. And he's going to talk to us everything about iMessage. And then more importantly, he's going to just basically educate us on everything that has to do with it and go over pricing, what's involved and so forth. So first and foremost, Gary, thank you so much for coming on. Totally appreciate it. I know it's super late for you or super early for you. I always get confused at what time zone, frankly. But, thank you again for coming on. And yeah, so tell us the download here of everything that has to do with iMessage.
No, thank you so much. That's such a great introduction, man. It's so nice to catch up now digitally because we caught up at Level Up, and I think we first met at the runs that we did in the morning, the boot camp, which seemed like a good idea at the time.
Matt Pisano decided to torture us through where we were doing burpees, wall sits, and a little half-mile run or whatever that was.
Love Matt and Graham and hate Matt and Graham for putting that on and even mentioning that we should come. It's like, okay, now we have to go. But yeah, I think we benefit out of it. But we had a good chat on there as best as we could while we were running and huffing and puffing and stuff. And there's a lot going on at Level Up. So thank you for such a great introduction. And we're going to go through today like what we actually do and get into the details of it because we had a really good conversation. But today we're going to go into sort of the details, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything about MyCRM Sim and what we do and all of our services basically and where we've been on our journey as well. So I'm going to dive into that. I've got a little presentation that we'll kind of go through just to explain a few things, and then we'll dive into a proper demo and we'll go through and you can ask all the questions as you go and we'll just explain everything because our objective is to make sure that people really understand what MyCRM Sim is about, what's the good use cases, what's the okay use cases, and where does it not work for people as well. Because, like any service or any business, basically, we're good for some people, we're great for some people, and maybe for some people we're not the right fit. So we want to make sure that we educate people on that, and we really try to help that. As much as we're a tech platform, we have a lot of services, training, add-ons that we give people with snapshots, custom GPTs to make sure that they can build and deliver really good SMS campaigns as well, because there is an art to that, like there is with any type of marketing.
Absolutely. And the fact that one of the selections that we have with our vendors is like the amount of support that they provide and whether or not they even have that kind of education platform to do that, because a lot of people will get stuff, not be fully educated. The support's really not great. We look bad when we recommend something like that because all of a sudden it's like, hey, you're not supporting your people. They're really like kind of lost in the sauce and they really don't know what to do. So again, another reason why Gary's here with us today and why we're going to be promoting him and making sure that if anybody needs iMessage, it's going to be Gary that they go to.
So what I'll do, I'm just going to switch my camera to my other screen. So I'm looking at the screen as I'm talking. I'm just going to bring up my screen here.
Beautiful.
So just going to go through a little bit about who am I? Where have we come from? How did MyCRM Sim get built? What do we do? And then we'll get into a demo, like I said. So we're going to talk predominantly today about iMessage, but we do 3 services. So we do iMessage, WhatsApp, and then SMS, which is what we started with. So standard SMS. And what we basically do and how we kind of get everything set up for people. So who I am and where I started from. So I started in building services. So I kind of did an engineering apprenticeship, and anything that you wanted to put into a building that you wanted to turn on, off, up or down and attach to a computer, that's what I did. So air conditioning, alarms, lights, lifts, all that kind of stuff that you wanted to control from a computer, that's what I did. And then we actually built the first online building platform, like as a website kind of thing, to put it on the internet in Australia years ago. And when we did that, I was like, okay, there's definitely something in this internet thing. And I kind of ended up shifting and transitioning from there into kind of building websites and SEO, started out consulting, ended up building an agency. So had over 20 years in digital, 5 years in HighLevel. I think it's actually a little bit long, and that's probably need to update this slide.
Like one of the OGs, like the 6-year-old OGs, part of the club.
Yeah, been in there for a little while. And then the challenges that we see with SMS. So like the 3 challenges that people come to us for is like SMS cost. Like it's very expensive to run SMS campaigns outside of America. So for us, that was our primary reason when we started doing this for our agency, because the cost of SMS in Australia is about 6 cents US per segment. Okay, it's a little bit less than that, I think. Whereas in the US, it's under 1 cent per segment. So it's very cheap in America. But also in America, you've got challenges with A2P. So that can be difficult for people to get their numbers registered, or they get them cancelled, or there's that opt-out rate as well. Like if you get more than 1% opt-out rate, then they can shut your number down. And then there's other countries where they can't even get a number. So that's a challenge for them that, LC or Twilio don't support those countries. They can't get a number, particularly our cousins across the way in New Zealand. They can't get numbers. So they use our service basically. So that's the challenges that people face, and that's the kind of the three clients that we look after. So if you've got challenges with costs, you've got challenges with A2P, or you can't get a number, definitely that's where we can help you out. And then with us, like, why My CRM Sim? So we have a really fast setup to kind of cut to the chase for anyone that doesn't know or doesn't know how it works. What we allow you to do is to connect a phone like this. So you can connect your iPhone or Android phone to your HighLevel account, and then you can start sending messages through there rather than using Twilio. So what that gives you is fixed cost, because you're paying for the cost of your SIM card or your SIM plan that you're using. You don't have A2P because that's not required when you're using a personal device like that. And it's available to everyone. So everybody can get a device like a phone and a SIM card plan. Doesn't matter what country you're in. There's no country I'm aware of at the moment where they don't have mobile phones and SIM plans available to them. So we're available to everyone, and you can be set up within 30 minutes or so, because once you've got that and you connect to our system, it's just really fast to do. And I say 30 minutes, like that's 30 minutes from like your first one, watching some tutorials, figuring out how to connect it, which isn't hard. There's a few steps, obviously, like anything. Once people know how to do it, then it's really quick. Like the actual setup time itself in reality is like 5 minutes when you know the steps to go through. I always say to people, look, allow 30 minutes or so, because your first one, you got to watch a tutorial. If you've never logged into our platform before, you need to know where to click. But once you know what to do, it's like 5 minutes, couple of clicks, scan a QR code, and you're pretty good to go. Now, as far as My CRM Sim, so as I mentioned, we built this for our agency to start with because of challenges that we had around cost for clients. And also, it's not A2P, but we have a thing called reg bundles in Australia, which is like soft A2P, basically. It's like not as hard as A2P to get approved for, but you still have to register the company, prove that it's a real company business, provide some documentation to get kind of the tick that will allow you to buy a mobile number for texting. So where we are now, the platform that we built for us, we showed that to some other agencies and they liked it, and they were like, okay, that seems like a good idea. So we built that into a real platform, I would call it. We had the MVP for us. We built that into a platform that would then be suitable for mass and scaling. So where we are now after a year and a half, so we've got over 500 agencies using our platform. We've sent over 10 million messages. We now integrate iMessage and WhatsApp. We started with just standard SMS, as I mentioned, and we also have multi-SIM and multi-device. And what that means is you can attach as many devices as you want to an account. So with a SIM plan, pretty much all SIM plans are sold as like unlimited. So you buy any text plan and say, yeah, it's unlimited SMS, and there's a little asterisk according to the fair use policy. So that depends on the country, the SIM card provider, and whatever their fair use policy is. But you can't send a million messages a day through a SIM card. So there will be some kind of limitation based on the provider. We don't put any limitation on that. We'll allow you to send as many messages as your SIM card will allow you, or your provider will allow you to send through your SIM card. But with multi-SIM and multi-device, this allows you to add as many devices as you want to an account. So if you do need to scale and send more messages, or even if you just need to give a number, like you might have a sales team and you might have a couple of different salespeople in there and you want them all to have their own individual numbers, you can assign numbers to different people. So we allow a lot of versatility like that as well. Now, like I said, today we're going to talk pretty much about iMessage predominantly. When we started out with SMS Green Bubble, okay? And we saw amazing results of that because, like I said, we train, we educate, we support our clients. So we make sure that they're building good campaigns, sending them in the right way, conversational text messaging. That's another training in itself, just to teach people how to do conversational text messaging. But when we introduced iMessage, it's funny, right? You guys in America, I would call you green bubble racist. It's like, if you see green bubbles, and then you do tend to ignore them more in America than blue bubbles, right? In Australia, we don't really care. We just kind of reply to text messages. But iMessage, blue bubbles do have a much higher response rate in the States. And we really started to see that from clients when we put iMessage in place. and they started to use that or transition from standard SMS to iMessage as we offered it. So we've got a bunch of these stories now. I was fortunate to meet a lot of our clients at Level Up, so we've got some great new testimonials we're putting out on our website, which will be up there if people want to check them out. But this one, like George, he swapped out his green bubbles for iMessage, and once he did that, he started seeing 4 to 5 higher response rates on his follow-ups and closing more deals. So that was getting people to his meetings more often because he was sending out reminders. He had booked into demos or sales calls. He was getting much higher response rates. So then the people were coming to the meetings, and then he was closing more deals just because he had more people coming through because they were applying to these blue bubbles.
Our first
So
client, Gary, just giving you a little bit of feedback, is already experiencing that. He's saying that he's seeing a response rate. Now, we just started measuring, so we can actually see a lot more leads coming in. So I will say that for whatever reason, I will have to justify that what Gary's saying is actually correct. Like, again, I personally never thought of it that hard, and I didn't think it would have that much of an impact, in all fairness and honesty. And I am actually pretty impressed that's the case. So it is working. So kudos to you on that realization, which I never knew about.
yeah, in fairness, you have to so, like I had to eat some humble pie on it because when we started seeing it and everyone's going, yeah, it's definitely working better. I was like, wow, okay, I never expected the change that we've seen. So we've got a lot of this now. We've got data. We have tons of data, probably more than we are the only platform that does SMS, WhatsApp, and iMessage all in one platform. We're the only people that do that. So we're the only people that have got comparative data across those 3 platforms altogether. So we're kind of collating that now as we go so that we can actually have even more information. Like we can work out like best time days. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're doing with all that data because we are the only people that have that for all 3 platforms. No one else has got it. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, that's one story from Georgios. We've got some other little testimonials there below from clients and stuff like that. If people want to check that out, we've got case studies, testimonials. Please do go check those out. But I guess what we want to do here anyway is like, do you want to see a demo? Like, want to check it out? All right, perfect.
Absolutely. I'm very excited about the demo.
So let's just do this first of all as just like real simple. So I'm not going to go through the setup, but it's as easy as this, right? And is that I've got this phone, this device is attached to this HighLevel account. So like I say, it's as simple as that. So this phone here, which is actually my personal device, is attached to this account here. So if I just send out a message through here, and what I'm going to do, all right, so that phone that you can see on the screen here, that's this one that's in my hand. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that on there. So I'll have to flick it back because every time I go to here, I'll be
Sure.
closing the screen off. This is a test for you, Nuno. So I'm just going to pop that in here. We'll pop that out. I'll just have to go and grab the screen back on. So we'll send that out through there and we'll see that come up on here in just a second. So obviously, it'll take a little second just to run through a system and we'll see that appear on the iPhone there in just a sec.
Which is also another reason is that it does take a minute for regular messages, even here in the US. Sometimes we don't know for whatever reason, there's a massive delay, even when you're doing regular text message. So I don't know what the rationale is. I thought it was a little bit more instant when we first started the program and we just saw it come through, but it does take a little time for those messages to go out here normally, period.
Yeah, it can do it, and like depending on load on our servers and that kind of thing, but it's going to take a couple of seconds generally for a message to go through. That's also not a bad thing. I had people talk to us and they go, we want it to be like super instant. You actually don't. If you're having conversational messages with people, right, it doesn't look right. If somebody has replied to a message and then
And
they
you're
instantly
you're
get
already finishing your text.
yeah, it's like that's not a person replying. So you do need little delays in there to make it look like a human's actually replying. And also as well, if it goes too fast, like we had that with some people at the start, if it goes too fast, then the carriers can see that as well. And they go, hey, there's no way that these messages are being replied to so quickly by a human.
Fair
And
enough.
they can block that out for automation. So these little delays, these are things that we've built into our system and stuff like that to help make sure that we protect your SIM cards and everything as well, so that carriers don't pick you up for automation and stuff like that. But what you could see there anyway, I mean, it took a couple of seconds to go through, but we send that through HighLevel. That's gone through, so that's on that phone here. Now, if I reply to that, I'll just bring this up. So this is another iPhone that I've got just to the side. So this is the one I sent it to. So I'll say, got it. We'll just reply to that. All right. So that's come back to the phone. So now we've got to get from the phone back into HighLevel. All right. There you go. So that's come back into HighLevel. Now, where this is really cool, and this is why I want to show this as a part of the demo before we get into the whys and the wherefores. Now, my screen's going to go off here for a second, but what I'm going to do is if I just send a message from, so I'm just typing actually on the phone. All right, so if I just pop that in, I'm just going to reconnect here. Oh, it's come through already. It's gone pretty quick. So you can see I typed that manually on this phone here, and see how that's now come into HighLevel. So you could be having conversations in here. Just think about how like this is like a replacement for Lead Connector basically. So you can connect a number and conversation will be going on in here, you can reply from the actual device and it will fully two-way sync between HighLevel and the device as well, which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the scenarios for that is like, you could have a VA or someone that's managing your stuff in here. You can still see all the conversations that are going on the phone. You don't need to be dipping into Lead Connector or other apps. So that full two-way sync is like really, really cool and important for people. And we can see, as well, this is all obviously blue bubbles going through here. So that's how all of that, well, that's kind of the demo of how that works, right? Which is pretty cool. So I guess from here, how this works, so if we talk about iMessage, how it works and what you actually need. So you do need the phone, okay? So phone's here. Now, with this, we need a Mac computer as well. So what's actually happening here, I'll just explain, is this is all running through, I'll bring this over, so you can still see my screen here, so I'll look up there. So I've got iMessage on this computer that I'm working on. Now, my iMessage on here is synced with my iPhone, okay? Most people, if they're using iMessage and iPhones, are probably fairly familiar with that setup anyway. So what we're doing, and the way that this operates, is we're actually tapping into iMessage on the Mac, okay? So in order for this to work, you do need a Mac and you do need an iPhone, okay? The reason for that is that we tap into here, we connect into that with this little gateway. So if I just bring this on the screen as well, you can see we have a little gateway here. So this is checking iMessage account on the computer, and then that's syncing through to HighLevel. So that's pretty much how it works. The reason why we do it this way, okay, and we can't just do it with the phone, or well, we can do it with the phone, but if we were just to do it with an iPhone, we would have to jailbreak it, basically. So we've got to jailbreak the phone, install another app on the phone. It's a challenge for people to do that, and we can't really expect people to go jailbreaking iPhones. But with iMessage, we can connect in here, and then everything will work. We don't have to have any things jailbroken, nothing like that. That will just work and run through your Mac, and then it's just Apple integration that your iPhone and your Mac will integrate iMessage together. That's how we do it, basically. Does that make sense? We're kind of explaining
Yeah.
that right.
So let me pepper you some questions here because, so I just want to make sure. So I'm a client, right? I have to go out. And again, for anybody in the US, this might be it's not a horrible thing. I have a business account with Verizon. Getting a second line is really, it's like, I think it cost me $30. I do have to get an iPhone. You can get the cheapest iPhone. Sometimes the additional line comes with a free iPhone. Obviously, you don't need a top of the line iPhone for this, right? It could be just a standard iPhone for what you need to do. So I go in, I have my regular account. I don't want to put this on my main line, right? Because I'm assuming that if, let's make believe, one day the system goes bananas, I send, like today, it happened to me. I sent 300 emails 24 times to, because one of my automations misfired and it was like a nightmare, and HighLevel's to blame on that one. So HighLevel, if you're listening, it's your fault. And it happened. So I'm assuming you do want to get a different line for this. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yeah, so that is a really good point. So this number here that's connected, this is actually my personal number. This is my personal number, my personal phone connected here. I'm not concerned about it because I'm just using it for, some messaging through here. I don't have it automations. I'm not sending anything particularly heavy through here. So technically you can connect any phone. All right. And you can use your existing phone, but we do recommend, and I feel like it's our responsibility to make people aware, say, look, we recommend using a separate number purely for the reasons you just mentioned. Like a workflow might go awry and suddenly blast out a load of messages. And if it does that, then you could lose that number. Like Apple might block that number. If you were to send, even 100 messages at once like that, which you can do, then there's a good chance that Apple might block that number because no human, like you can't thumb, like your thumbs don't work that fast, right? You can't thumb type send 100 messages immediately. Well, unless you did a big group text, but that's going to seem a bit odd as well. So that's part of our, I guess, our duty of care, I guess, to make sure that agencies are aware of that. We don't want them to go to their clients and go, yeah, cool, look, we can just hook up your business number and you'll be good to go. Like, just be aware that there is a risk that if something goes wrong, or even if the client doesn't understand and they suddenly go, oh, great, I've got the power of SMS now, and they blast through their phone, they could get that number blocked. So we encourage people to get a second number. We do have hundreds of end users with their existing number connected because people don't want to change their number. And in fairness, it's such a great use case when people don't want to change their number. Go, yeah, look, we can just hook you up. Your appointment reminders, bit of conversational stuff can go through your existing number.
No
We've
blasting.
got no blasting. Like, just take it really easy. No blasting, no database reactivations. Don't do anything like that through an existing number. If you have any concern about losing that number at all, like, our recommendation is get a separate number. If you're going to be super careful, make sure your clients are aware. Then again, we do have clients, a lot of end users, or our clients, because we service agencies, and we have a lot of agencies that have their end user clients with their numbers attached. I just want people to be really aware of that, like, so we can support people and give them the right information.
All right. So second question is, what about like if I have like six salespeople? Does that mean I need six iPhones with six different numbers and all of that? Is that how that works?
Yeah, so just to wind that back one step, so we
Yeah. Yeah.
mentioned like with the iPhones, we do need that Mac computer as well. So generally what we would say, like this is running, I'm talking to you right now, this is my MacBook Pro that I just use all the time anyway. I actually have a separate one, which you can't see, but on my desk here, I've got a Mac Mini, which kind of runs as our little server for them. So you get a Mac Mini, which you can get for a couple $100, and then an iPhone, and then you're good to go. Right. So that's the hardware that you need. So it's going to cost you under $500 for the hardware as like the initial outlay. Now, with that, as you mentioned, if you want to add extra devices, I can show you really quickly here as well, just in our dashboard here. If I go into our accounts, it's really easy. This is just a little bit of our accounts here. If we want to add extra devices, I don't have one to hand that I can add. But we just go in here and we would just assign a new device. I don't have one that I can grab, but we'd pick a user if I had another salesman and pick another device and just attach that to this other account. So it's all pretty simple through there.
But device
But
meaning iPhone and iMac or same iMac, different phone?
correct, same iMac, different phone. So again, that's the point I was trying to make here. You can use one iMac, and we recommend no more than 4 phones attached to one iMac. Okay, so the reason for that being is that just on pure common sense, so we want to apply a lot of common sense to what we do and keep people in a good space with their numbers and their devices and their hardware to make sure that they don't burn their numbers out. Okay, so you can technically attach 100 phones to an iMac, all right, because it's just a memory and resource allocation situation, really. So if you've got the memory, you can attach them and run them. But we haven't tested that. I'm not going to test it either because I think that's going to look really odd to Apple if they suddenly see one
Like 100
iMac
phones.
has
Like, yeah, here's your
got
plan. Why do you need
100.
100 phones?
Yeah, why have you got 100 phones attached to one iMac? That seems odd. Whereas 4, if you've got 4 attached, that could just be a home family computer and you've got 4 people using it. That's kind of what we feel is like a good safe zone. We have got a few clients that are running a little bit more than that. There's one particular one I know, he's got quite a number of Macs set up and he's running 7 per Mac machine. And we said, hey, that's up to you. If that works well, great. That's not our recommendation. We want to keep things in the safe zone. But yeah, if you think about it, get a Mac Mini, couple $100, and then get 4 phones. They're pretty cheap. You can couple $100 a phone as well. You can just attach them, and then it's super cheap to get up and running.
And do the phones in the Mac Mini need to always be on in order for this to work?
Yeah, good question. So the Mac Mini always needs to be on because that's the integration. So this little thing here that I showed you, this is our
Mhm.
little gateway integration. So this will always run in the background on the Mac Mini. So you can see here, it's like it's always checking, it's always running. So it does always have to be on. So again, that's a good reason for having a separate computer to do this. You can just sit it there on the desk. It's pretty inconspicuous. Mac Minis are small. They're a great piece of hardware. They run very well. So that always needs to be running. The iPhone, that's a good question, right? So the iPhone technically doesn't always need to be on because the iMessage is being sent through the Mac Mini. Okay. Where the iPhone comes into play is for 2 things. So, first of all, when you get connected, you need a phone number. And then you get your phone number from a SIM card on the phone. So that's part of the connection with iMessage. All right. So I can just let me just demo this a little bit.
No, I mean, that's all making a little bit of sense now. So from what I'm gathering while Gary pulls this up, right? So again, this is for more of a casual conversational use for you to close your leads, conversation back and forth on hot leads that are coming through. It is meant for, your reminders to get people on calls and so forth and so on. And again, more noticeable because it's going to come in blue versus a regular clear message. Now, the other thing that we're understanding is that you can have up to 4 connections, 4 phones to one Mac Mini that will then in turn be connected so that you can go back and forth and you can have messages going on if you need more than messages, which I'll get into bulk in a second. And this is, you're showing us now, this is just the connections to the phone, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so this is just an iMessage setting. So you can see here, so this is where it gets the number from. All right. So it needs to have the iPhone connected to iMessage on your Mac to get the number. So that way, when you're sending messages, you can see here it says start new conversations from. So it's using the number. If you didn't have a phone, then you can still set up iMessage, in fact, and you can still set up iMessage just with an email address and you can send messages from iMessage with an email address. We've actually got some clients that do that, but I think that looks a little bit odd personally on the end user where they start getting messages from an email address. It just looks a little bit strange. So you need the phone to get the number to start with. The other reason why you need the phone as well, and this is why you do really need the phone on at all times if you've got any kind of automation going or anything you're sending out, is, and this is a good point to cover, is that what happens if you send out an iMessage, but it's an Android phone? So we have a failover, so it will automatically send a green bubble, so it will send a standard text message instead if it's not an iMessage. And I'll just give you a little demo of that just to explain how that works. So if we go here, all right, so I have an Android phone here. So if I go into this contact and I'll just say send to Android. So we'll just pop that one out and then let me give that a second. I'll just bring this iMessage over. Here we go. So you can see in my iMessage, so see how this has failed? Oh, so see how it failed? Because it tried to send an iMessage, like it looks through our system. It goes, oh, that is not an iMessage number. Okay.
So it
So it will
automatically
then,
detects that.
it detects it automatically, and then it will fail over and it will send a green bubble message. Now, this message here is actually sending from the phone. Okay. So technically, when we send iMessages, all of this, even though it was all syncing, you saw it on the phone, it is actually sending, these messages here were actually sending from the computer. All right. Well, sorry, that one I sent directly from the phone because it all syncs. But this is technically sending from iMessage on the computer. All right. But if we need to fail over to an Android device, then it will push to the phone and it will send out a standard text on the phone. So those are kind of the nuances, I guess, that you need to be aware of.
Yeah, we do have okay, so keep on the Mac Mini, keep on the phone, and actually probably can just connect one to the other and put it like sitting on your desk somewhere in the middle of nowhere. It's like as
Yeah,
long as it
just
can connect to
set
the
them on the
computer and you're ready
set
to
them on
rock
the
and
corner.
roll.
Yep.
Yeah, and then
Exactly.
now I did notice that we on the bottom choices right there, we have SMS, WhatsApp, and iMessage. So we actually didn't do an iMessage back. So can we show them what an iMessage looks coming back to the regular phone, to the regular iPhone, so people can see it? Because I think we sent one into the like I don't know if we sent it back.
We did. So good observations, right? I didn't want to get into this too technically here, right? But we will.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did send one back. So that was here. So if I
Mhm.
go, let me just go back. We'll do it again. So if I go to this one, which is our test iPhone, you bring this up. Okay, so we'll just send, let's just send a new message to that iPhone. We'll bring this one over. So give that a second to go through.
And that was a regular SMS, right? Just to make sure I'm also
Yeah, so what we're doing here, all right, so let me explain what's going on, right? We're using the SMS channel in HighLevel, okay? Maybe this is where it's confusing, so sorry if I'm confusing you, right? We're using the SMS channel in HighLevel. So in our settings in here,
I
maybe
understand.
this will help just to make sure that we
No, I
explain this. We have
understand.
all,
Every SMS is going through has an iMessage.
yes,
And if
but
it
what
doesn't
we
detect an
do,
iPhone on the other side, then it automatically goes to that green message that we saw before.
correct. So we're taking over the SMS channel in HighLevel. The reason why you're seeing SMS and iMessage
Mhm.
as another conversation provider, I'm going to try and explain it here with the screenshot with the screen. All right. So see here, when you install our system, when you connect our dashboard on our platform to HighLevel, we add in extra conversation providers. We actually have two. So this one here, and in this account, I am only using iMessage. So when I do that, any messages that I send will go through the standard conversation provider through HighLevel. Okay. I'll go through a little bit more of what I'm talking about here. We have another option as well because you can actually mix up and use SMS, WhatsApp, and iMessage all together in a platform together. All right. So then we have another option here, and you could pick that, and then standard SMS would be the default and take over the SMS provider in HighLevel, and WhatsApp will go through there, and then iMessage would actually go through. Let me go back to the contact. And you're just seeing it here because I'm doing manual stuff, right?
Yeah, sure, sure.
And again, this is all in our training for the guys. So we've got deeper videos on this stuff. But iMessage, if I had a Android phone for SMS and an iPhone connected to this channel, to this sub account, the Android would end up going through the standard SMS channel and iMessage would go through this channel. All right. But because I only have one, I'm just using iMessage as the default. The
Got it,
reason
got
why
it.
that's important is there are different volume and send rates that you can send. So SMS, you can have a higher volume send rate through a standard SIM card than you can through Android. So if you were doing a database reactivation, for example, you might want to use a standard Android device because of purely for volume to get more numbers sent out. But if people reply and they are interested and they want to book an appointment, you could move it over to iMessage and then start conversing with them through iMessage to actually close the deal or close the appointment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and
Kind
you
of
would do that through
explain
this
that better.
manual option. You wouldn't necessarily do it through like an automation, or can you do it through an automation also?
You can. So where that happens in the automations, and again, we've tried to do this, and we all know, right? We're working with HighLevel, so we're working within some of the constraints of HighLevel that we have to work around. So when we use the standard SMS channel here, as we're doing in automations, let's go automation. So in here, I'm not going to go through all these, but this is just an example. These are all some of the workflows that we give people in our snapshots. All right. I'll just go into this one as an example here for a moment. Because iMessage is our default in this account, we can use the standard SMS action. All right. So everything will go through here through iMessage. That's going to work. If we were mixing it up, then we have a custom action for iMessage, and then we would need to use this. So we have a custom message, a custom action for iMessage. Now you get charged for that because of HighLevel, right? So there's a fee associated with that. HighLevel actually being really great with us, and they're actually removing that fee. And we can
Nice.
actually, the custom actions, they're 1 cent per message, or if you buy 10,000 actions for $10, I think it is, and 0.01 cent or something like that. HighLevel have actually removed the custom action fee for us, even though it's a very, very small charge. I think we have to put it at like 1/100th of a cent or something. But effectively, what that means is you would end up getting charged for these custom actions. And we were trying to remove that option for people. So we allow you to use the standard SMS action, so there's zero fee. Or if you're mixing numbers together in an account, then you need to use this custom action. And then you're going to get charged a very, very, very small amount now, because HighLevel have been great with us, and we thank them for that, but there's still a tiny little fee with it. So hopefully I'm explaining that right. So it's probably a
Yeah, no,
little
that
bit to
makes
get into in here, but
Yeah, and I think the last one is really about like bulk. So what about bulk? And like, do we do bulk with this? Do we do not? And what's maybe the difference between you and like SendBlue and some of the other providers? And I know that their cost differentiation is quite a bit. So can you talk to us a little bit first about the bulk, and then can you get into like why your services are a little bit more affordable, and what the differences is? And because I think that was a really interesting conversation when you and I sparked that.
yeah, so I guess the main difference really is what we've covered already, which is that you are bringing your own hardware. So you're going to have a bit of an upfront cost to buy a Mac Mini, buy an iPhone. Like you mentioned earlier, like, support and stuff that we give people. We have all of this, guys. So if anyone wants to go and just check us out, go to our support center. There is like everything in here about this. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of like the setup and everything, because we do cover all this in here. But in here, you'll see like we've got specs in here for what do you need. So specs for like your iPhones, what you need. So you can use some pretty low model ones, Mac devices, what you need, what will run. So all of that is kind of outlined in here. So that's really the main difference, is the fact that with us, your BYO hardware, and then you're going to provide the SIM card as well, because we don't provide those. So that allows us to service people in any country. All right. So I know probably most of the audience who are watching this are in the US, but we can service any country. Now, SendBlue, now they're considerably more expensive than us. I've heard very varied prices with them that people are paying for a line. So they still have a setup fee. So I think they charge like $500 setup fee anyway. So you could kind of equate those together with us and say, all right, well, it's $500 in hardware with us, probably a bit less, or a $500 setup fee with SendBlue. But then with them, it's hundreds of dollars per month for a number. Then with us, it's $29 per number to keep connected. So with that integration point for $29 per number. So significantly cheaper with us. And a good part of why we do this and the way that we do it is we're trying to help agencies so they can actually make a markup. So there's margin to be made using iMessage now with your clients, whereas that's not really possible with like those cloud providers. And they're charging that premium because they're holding that hardware on racks, on servers somewhere.
Yeah, they're building
And
it. So instead of you getting your own number and getting your IMECI, they're actually building a part of the rack server, and then they're basically renting the rack server to you for as long as you have it, and then you're buying the number through them. So it just becomes like they own that process, but then you're paying significantly more every month because you're paying for that entire process. Where here it's one-time fee of $500 or less even, because I saw 6E phones. You can get those as throwaway phones or buy them online for like 2 cents. So it's like it's really not that hard, especially if that's that low end, and even buy a used Mac Mini to kind of get it through if you need to bring down the cost a little bit. So that's a big difference. And I know a lot of people, I get that question, why them versus this, and vice versa. The second part of it is that what about bulk? Like, do you use this for bulk at all? Or Do you want to even use it for bulk?
No, so for iMessage and just to go just a step back, just a portion there, right? I mean, that is really the difference between us and SendBlue is really the cost. All right. We're just allowing you to bring your hardware. You got that little cost up front. You're paying a premium for someone else to host all that hardware for you, which, obviously they've got to charge for that. And I totally understand that. That's a model. Beyond that, it's pretty much the same. The limitations around iMessage still apply to us and to SendBlue. So iMessage is lower volume, and I kind of mentioned that before. Didn't want to get too deep into the weeds of it, but that's why you can mix up like SMS and iMessage with us as well, because with SMS you can generally send higher volume. iMessage is a bit lower, or sorry, it's quite a lot lower, with like max really of like new numbers that you would want to send to in a day is about 50. If you stay within that zone of like 50 new numbers per day, then you're in kind of a safe zone. Could be 41 days, 60 the next, 50 the next day, 30 the next day, 70 the next kind of thing. But 50 is kind of that number. If
That
you start
magical number, yeah.
messaging, yeah, if you start messaging more than 50 numbers per day or new numbers per day, then you're likely to get that Apple ID flagged again and shut down. And that's the same with SendBlue, basically. That's just an Apple restriction, basically. So there's no difference as far as that goes. I guess going back to what I said before with us is that one of the differences there is with us, you can attach another number. If you've got a Mac and you've got one phone and you go, well, I need to send a bit more volume, attach another phone. You've already got the Mac, you can get another phone, get another plan with us for $29, and now you've got two numbers. So, you can
And how would
increase your
that work?
volume like
So
that.
let's take the instance for an active database reactivation. I mean, actually, we always recommend doing no more than 40 anyway, because like that you can readjust your offer, go back in. And if you have like a 10,000 person list, setting like 10,000 person list, even an email, we frown upon that, right? I mean, it's always lower deliverabilities. So it's kind of always the rule. The second you get into mass sending of anything, it's like an automatic lowers the quality. But so would you do that through an automation, meaning you would do like maybe split the list in half and that goes to one number and another list to another number and that's how you would do it, and then have a drip of like 40 a day to kind of get through that if you were doing like, let's say, a database reactivation?
Yeah, absolutely. The way that it works with ours, and if I just go back to this real quickly, is that when you assign new devices, you attach a new device to a user. Okay. So I'd be attaching the next device to John, for example. Now, HighLevel this all works in the background. So when you send database reactivations out, so anything through an automation in the back end, it looks at it and goes, oh, this lead is attached to John. I'm going to send it from John's number. This lead is attached to Gary. I'm going to send it from Gary's number. So using that 50 per day as a max, as we said, if you were going to send out 100 in the day, you need to make sure that 50 of those leads are assigned to John and 50 of them are assigned to Gary. Then send it out through a workflow. They'll automatically get distributed across the numbers anyway. It will all take care of that in the background. What we do with all of this as well, though, just to tip back to Snapshot here, is we want to protect our numbers and make sure that everything looks humanized. All right, really big on making sure that we send out messages that look like they've been sent by a human who's used their thumbs and typed and sent. So this is just part of it. I'll use the most basic and simple one that we've got here. We have a few different ones. Here we've got drip campaigns with using OpenAI so it can write custom messages, time variants, but this is the basic one that we tell people to start with, right? So if we look at this drip campaign here, you just create your campaign, you would drop them in the top here. We have a drip mode, so I would be changing this anyway. So this would be like one every 10 minutes or so. Okay, so we would just drop them in here and we'd say, look, we're going to send one every 10 minutes. We could assign it to a user or we can remove that. Actually, we'd probably get rid of that bit. We don't need that. We'd have a little note in here. So we would update the note and say, hey, they've added to campaign for this offer. And then what we do is we split these guys off. So as they come through, we're going to split them and we're going to go down different paths. And then we have a little random time here, a little random wait as well. So I want to put people through, but I want to make sure that they're not going on the minute, every
Yeah,
minute,
you put it
whatever.
up and make it look different. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay.
And then we vary the content that's going out. So we want to have different messages going out. So this message here is in the same vein, but it's slightly different to this message here, slightly different to this message here, and so on. So they're all slightly different, okay? So this is, again, all designed to help manage those numbers, make sure that we don't get them flagged, randomize the time, randomize the content, send all that stuff out. So you can do it all through here. But with iMessage, it needs to be kind of a lower volume. Take your time over the day. If you need to add more, add more. I will just show this here. I'm not going to go through it, but we have like a full training, and anybody can go and see this. We don't hide anything, by the way. Like, I probably should hide a lot of the stuff that we give away, but we give away like training. So we get people to come in here and use our stuff anyway, but that's all good. Like, we're here to help people. Like I said, we want to train people and help them. So there's a whole thing in here about getting started with database reactivation. So the video on this, we go through all the steps on what you need. So setting your plan, your hardware, getting your SIM plan provider, how to get connected. All this goes to the correct articles for people as well, like warming up your sims. So there's warm up guides to make sure that your sims are actually have conversations going through them, because that's another thing to talk about. Like, you can't just have messages going one way all the time. You want to have replies. Okay. So if I just tip back here for 1 second, so the way we send out a message is like, we do this in 2 parts. It's like, hey, Nuno, it's Gary here from MyCRMSIM. Just want to know something pretty exciting. We're going to wait a couple of seconds, and then we're going to send part 2. Say, we're having an epic deal on MyCRMSIM this week. Would you like me to put one aside for you so you don't miss out? I want you to reply to me. I want you to say, yes, I would love that. Obviously, on the back end, then I can have a bot and automation that says, yep, cool, here you go, here's the deal, here's the link, whatever it might be. But I want you to reply, because I need conversations going through to have history and have validation on my SIM card. The better conversation I've got through my card, the more authority it's got and the more messages I can actually get sent out. If you just have one-way traffic all the time, and we see this with some clients who unfortunately don't read our instructions and don't go through this, they'll just send out a, hey, Nuno, we've got a great deal on XYZ this week, click here to buy it, right? That's bad. You got links in the first message, you're not getting a response from them. They get their cards shut down because they're not following some good basic principles that we try and make sure people do. So this is all the stuff that we try and make sure that people follow through here. Validate your lists, use our snapshots, set up your DVR. So these are kind of the 4 pillars to that. No links in first messages. You don't have to use the stop to opt out text. This is a big one, and this is really cool, because if you were to try and do this with Twilio, for example, and we try and send these natural looking messages here, I would be sending out, hey, Nuno, it's Gary here from MyCRMSIM. Just want to let you know something pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Reply stop here to opt out. And then I'm going to send you the second part. We're having an epic offer on. And you're going to look at that and you go, that's weird, right? So these look like real messages that are being sent by real people, even though it's all automation. And you send that with blue messages, people are just getting killer results.
What
Basically.
about adding AI to this? This like kind of close this up a little bit. Would adding AI like hurt it, help it? Like, because again, you're going to have that conversation back and forth.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've done a lot of stuff with, I know, you know, Bryce, CloseBot, the guys there. We've done a lot of stuff with them. You can build AI in there. We've got training on that for how to set that up, database reactivation with CloseBot. Absolutely. Works brilliantly. So all of that stuff is in here as well. Like, we actually give a chatbot away as well. Like, we have a free chatbot that we supply to people. It's like, you know, here's a one to get started if you need one as well. So people can use that too. So everything is in here for, you know, anyone who comes along. Follow these steps, come to our open office hours. We'll help you, we'll train you, we'll educate you. Like, my goal is to get people to be successful with their SMS campaigns and get database reactivations running for their clients and get them happy at the end
Yeah,
of the day.
so
That's what we
I
want
want
to
to
do.
do like a quick recap, and just you're going to correct me pretty much if I'm off my rocker. And then, you know, Gary was nice enough to give us a promo code with, I believe he said it was 50% off. So anybody that is interested in checking this out, make sure you scan that link, use that code that you see on there. It'll also be located in the bottom of the video. But quick recap. All right, so SendBlue, for you want to really use it for conversation that's going back and forth. Appointment reminders to get people onto calls. More importantly, if you are going to be doing like database reactivation, you want to do it in small amounts. You do need an iPhone, do you need a Mac Mini. You can hold up to 4 phones in an iMac Mini. And again, the phone here in the US, you can get those phones incredibly cheap. Also going to use Mac Mini just to have this, set it off to the side, set it up once, kind of set it and forget it, have it run automatically, and then have a lot of your messages based through this. I assume like this would be really great for high intent leads that are starting to really see the conversion, because then they're seeing your messages more often. They're going to not seem robotic because you don't have to add, you know, stop or whatever it is, because again, it's coming directly from
Yeah.
the iMessage. Again, A2P for anybody that's really struggling or can't get A2P verified. So, you know, I know a number of businesses here in the US that struggle with that. So it's another way to go about doing it. And we're looking for the cost effective a solution held by the same bounds, instead of you paying for the hardware and renting out that hardware every month and then get charges to use fees on top of it. Using Gary's services, you're paying your own hardware fees, but which you can get for cheap. And we discussed the variety of different ways, but you're just paying for, honestly, just the services, which is $29 a month. Honestly, pretty good solution for anybody out there that's want to try this out. that wants to go out there. Like I said, we're using it individually for one particular case for one of our clients. We just started using it now because it was the only solution because they couldn't get HPA verified. And there's a whole bunch of rationale behind it. And it's working perfectly for them. They're starting to see results and it was a solution. So, Gary, this was awesome. I am now fully informed. I understand the limitations. And again, Gary came here. It's after crazy traveling and like all kinds of things that are going on. So, one, I really appreciate you coming on. So, again, folks, we only recommend things that we use, as we mentioned before, and I only been vendors that I trust and got to know. And obviously, like we ran together, we sweated together, and more importantly, now we're clients. So on top of it, if you guys want to check this out, go ahead and check it out. But I think it is a really cool send iMessage solution, and I'm super happy that Gary came on. So Gary, thanks again, man. I think that was great, and I hope to see you soon. Not running together though, and I'm not coming to Australia.
Thank you so much, mate. I'll wrap this out for the guys as well. So if anybody wants to see more, you can see we have an online demo on our website. You can book a demo, which will actually be with me. You can come to our open office hours. We have real life humans on 24/7 support, so actual humans, not just chatbots. So real life humans on 24/7 support. We've got our knowledge base here. Like there is everything in here. We don't hide anything. There's all the setup, the integrations. We give away snapshots. We give away training. We have ticketing systems. We have our Facebook community. So if you need help, like go there. We will help you. We will support you. We will get you set up. We'll give you all the tools. That, like we haven't even managed to touch the surface of some of the things. Like we've got chat GPTs that will write your SMS campaigns for you. Please go there. Come to our open office hours. We'll put you on the right path. But if anyone goes to our site, I would recommend just start with this. Look at the database for activations. Go through this. This will step you through everything that you need to do in there. Take a little bit of time. It's worth it. Do good things with your campaigns and you will have amazing results for your clients. So all of that's included with us. I think if we go through here, so no hidden fees, no ATP charges. We've got SMS, iMessage, WhatsApp, all integrated. We do give you a free bot as well. So we have My CRM bot. That's a good one to get you started. We work very closely with the CloseBot guys as well, which is amazing. We love CloseBot. We actually use that ourselves. You get up and running in minutes. We're used by so many agencies now. Like I said, over 500 agencies. There's thousands of end users. We're recommended by all these guys like UpHex, Level Up Marketplace, HR Pro Tools, HighLevel Freaks, White Label Suite, CloseBot, all good partners of ours. Like I mentioned, we do give away that free bot for you to get started if you want. And then Nuno, we set this up for you, for your clients.
And I'm wondering why people will too. So I really appreciate that.
Do that. Get 50% off your first number. It's like $14.50. Give it a try. If you don't like it, try for 30 days anyway. Come back to me. Like we'll refund you the $14.50. So I mean, it's like no risk. Like you got $15 on the line, but we'll get back to you even if you don't like it. So I don't know. Can we be fairer? I don't know.
No, I think that's great. And I really appreciate it. So Gary, again, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate you. And we'll see everybody on the next one.
Perfect. Thank you, mate.